Well, good evening, folks. It's 7 o'clock here in the fabulous snow-covered frozen tundra of the Midwest. It is a straight-up blizzard outside, but you're here with the dulcet tones of MkII John and the equally dulcet tones of one John Spencer, your host for Painting with MkII John. How are you doing this evening, John? How are you doing, Mr. John? And I think we lost my host already. This is professional podcasting. Yes, folks, John Spencer has been having some issues with his computer, and I just lost him at the most inopportune time. So I will continue to vamp as a solo host until he comes back on. And you may hear some ringing and things like that as we bring him on, but we'll see what we can do. So, like I alluded to, we have a hell of a snowstorm going on here in the fabulous Midwest. I had to take Lich Lord Charlie back to his mom's house this evening, and that was a whole bucket of fun driving on the interstate. So why don't we go ahead and get started here. We'll go ahead and get this out of the way. Let's see if we got John Spencer back. No, he is not back. Off to a rip-roaring start. I would like to welcome a couple of viewers there in the chat room. Edfo's with us. We got Danny Goodner in the house, and we've got Christopher all the way from Sweden with Nevendar. So we're happy to see you. We're going to try and bring John Spencer back in again. We'll see how this works. If I see him connect, I'll bring him in. Yeah, we're really improving. The production value is way high on this particular show. See, what I'd like to point out is that John Spencer is running a Windows machine, and I am running a Mac. So that's probably why mine works and his doesn't. John, if you're listening to this, why don't you try restarting your computer? Might be worthwhile. So, first off, as we often do here on Painting with MkII John, we have our little monkey glass full of Kraken. So there's nothing better than 2 minutes into the show to get our first releasing of the Kraken out. So to all of you out there, from all of us here at Painting with MkII John, hey, Ron! Now that's a good way to start a podcast right there, folks. A little bit of the Kraken rum. So let's see how we're doing here. John sent me a text. Okay, he's back. He has no idea what happened. So he is calling me, and I am going to put him on the call. John, are you with us?
Yes.
Outstanding. Fantastic, because I was getting tired of talking at myself here, and I'm sure that the listeners were as well.
That was kind of crazy. I don't know what happened. But,
well, you didn't miss anything other than our first releasing of the Kraken. What are you having this evening for a beverage?
Cherry Coke.
Oh, you broke up a little bit there, partner. What do you got?
Cherry Coke.
Cherry Coke, all right. The good old reliable one. So, as I mentioned in the notes for the upcoming here, I thought that I would share with you the completed Ragman and the completed Harlan Versch. Here he is. Chat room, if you'd let me know if you can see him okay, I'll try to bring him up and be a little bit closer.
So you can see him.
And I'll give him the turntable look here. I went with some magenta stitching on his cloak because I thought that would kind of pop out a little bit. I've always liked red stitching on models, mostly because I can't imagine a person in real life wearing something that has red stitching like that. And he is featured on a Dragon Forge Designs base. This is I believe it's Lost Empires base. And
it's cool.
Yeah, so he's looking good. I went with a little bit of a greenish glow for his face. because I wanted to give him kind of the little spectral thing coming out of his mouth and in his eyes. That is a little bit of Necrotech green with a little bit of a yellow ink in there as well. So there you go. There's our Ragman. And I'm pretty happy with how Harlan Verse turned out. Here he is.
Yeah, that's legit.
I went with a little bit stronger of a highlight in his pants, and I think it worked out pretty well. If you remember from last week, I was using the Crimson Gore from an old Citadel color from back in the day. And go ahead.
That is legitimately old paint.
Yep, that's some old sticky paint, and you know what? It's still good. And then I said,
all those paints in those bottles are still good.
Yep, I tell you, I use the Chaos Black for my black, and I use the Crimson Gore a lot for reds. I like it better than the Khador red. But I highlighted it with the Khador red highlight. Now, for someone who's not a top-notch painter like I am, this color scares the living crap out of me. But you put it on there, and it's just transparent enough that it actually works out pretty well.
Yeah, he looks sweet.
And as you can see, he's a good Moro, and he's got his good book there in his hand. And I think the sword in back turned out pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I finished him up over the last couple of days. He's looking good. And for those of you who remember, this is my Boom Howler. I repainted his base ring because I kind of hated the green base ring that I had on him. But I'm going to get to those Boom Howlers again. You watch. It's going to happen one of these days. I actually started to paint this guy a little bit, too. I have to believe that the grunts are going to be easier because there's just not as much skin. So, anyway.
Based on what my locals say, maybe not so much.
I kind of hate painting troops, and so it's going to be a grind. I just got to put my mind to it. So I'm putting the glass of Kraken back out here because I figured it would be better than not having anything on camera while we were talking. So, what are you working on tonight there, John?
I think I'm going to try and finish this Rep Battle Box I've been working on over the past 3 weeks.
Nice. Are you putting it together or are you painting it?
I'm putting it together. Haven't had a lot of time for assembling outside of the time here.
Hey,
playing lots of games.
Oh, that's awesome. Before we jump to what you've been playing, because that'd be kind of interesting and cool to hear about. The question for you on the Brett Battle Box: how do the mold lines compare with the? We're going to be talking Infinity, by the way, Edifo. Just so you know, big Infinity episode here. The mold lines on the Retribution box, how are they? Because I remember people complaining quite a lot about the Convergence box.
They were definitely not bad at all. I mean, I had no complaints. I cleaned them all last week while we were chatting, and really no complaints.
Well, I'm going to give a hearty Ron then for that box. Hey, Ron!
Ron.
Most excellent. Well, that's good. I'm just going to, before we get on to Infinity, because this is going to be a major Infinity type episode here, because John suggested a great topic to talk about, and I'm always willing to take a great topic and work with it and steal it, and I'll say it's my own. But so you were playing. This is the Vanguard I'm going to be working on, and I'm going to be calling this episode 1/14 of Nathan Hoffmann. And because if you're not aware, Nathan Hoffmann in 2-caster 75-point games plays a list with 14 Vanguards. It has 14 Vanguards and a Nomad. The Nomad is with Shay, and all the Vanguards are with Bart. And the list is nothing but shenanigans. And its Achilles heel are Satixis Raiders. So he's thinking that he'll never be able to play the list again because people are just going to come net decking Satixis Raiders. But so I'm going to paint I'm going to be painting this Vanguard here this evening, and so we'll start on that. But what I'd really like to talk about is I'd like to talk a little bit about Infinity.
Absolutely, and just so you know, I do have chat up and running.
Oh, fantastic!
For something.
Woohoo! We have chat going up. I'd like to welcome Mr. Richards. Colin, great to see you. Glad you're here on the show. Flippity Bloop will be taking place after a while, and I know that you put in a question for Flippity Bloop, so we'll be having that later on. Continue on with the Infinities.
Well, after my rousing first game of Infinity a week ago Friday, I decided to jump feet first in and play in the tournament yesterday at my local store.
Outstanding. There's no way to get better at a game than to get abused during a tournament.
Absolutely. But I did not get abused too much because I actually went 2-1.
Nice!
Though their tournament structure is a little weird. The wins and losses don't matter as much as your overall points, sort of like control points, your scenario points.
Interesting. So I am a complete newbie when it comes to Infinity and Infinity tournaments and things like that. I don't play the game. I've seen some videos on Beasts of War and things like that. But one thing I did notice is they put out a tournament pack here not too long ago, or at least I think I saw that a tournament pack. I saw some advertisement or something for it that reminded me a little bit of like a steamroller kind of an execution. What can you tell me about that?
It actually does remind me a lot of Steamroller. It's very cool. The scenarios you get scenario points for doing objectives of some variety, and that's how you score the game.
Okay. So now I just see that Edifo made a comment in the chat window that a game only lasts 3 rounds.
3 rounds at most, yeah, and that sounds very short, but with the patented Infinity, it's always your turn. It's much longer.
There's a lot of reaction going on in that game, isn't there?
Yes. There are times when someone will move and suddenly there's shots being fired from everywhere.
Incoming!
Yeah, exactly. But I had a good time. My first game was against a veteran guy, Phil, who brought a ton of terrain, too. Apparently he has tons and tons of the Micro Studio and Bandai Wargames terrain, and he brought so much terrain to help us out, which was awesome of him.
That's super cool. Now, I don't know much about the game. I know it's a faction-based game, just like a lot of war games are. The faction I was interested in when I heard about the game was Pan-Oceania. What faction do you play?
Well, I really want to play Mercenaries, but they're not a legal faction in any of their tournament system.
So they're a lot like War Machine in that respect, in that they're not a real faction.
Well, not yet. Rumor has it their next book, they're going to have a bunch of armies for them that'll be legal.
God, we haven't heard that old chestnut in a long time, have we?
I know, no one says that locally because I take my mercenaries out and whoop their butt when they do.
I'm just teasing you. And then Devil Squid will come up right behind you and give you the business. Give him the business too.
Well, that's creepy. Devil Squid coming up behind and giving you the business.
It's something you have to watch out for. You can't predict it.
You gotta have your head in the swivel.
You know, he was going to be on my. I'm going to throw him underneath the bus right now because it's my show and I get to do that. He was going to be on my TempleCon team as part of. In case you haven't heard it, my TempleCon team tournament team is going to be Menoth John and his nuts. Because I'm going to be cosplaying as Bob Ross during the tournament. And then my nuts are going to have... whoa, hit the camera. That was interesting. Are going to have squirrel or squirrel-themed type items. Okay, I got to adjust this camera because for those of you... I put on a little sideshow earlier on in the week where I did some painting, but it wasn't an official painting with Menoth John. And I moved the camera, and that was the worst thing I ever did. So anyway, getting back to my nuts, we're going to be playing in that team tournament at TempleCon, and he was going to be a part of it. But then he's got a game he's working on that he's authoring, and I don't know if I can talk about it, so I probably won't.
Well, you can talk about it. You can talk a little bit about it. He talks about it in the store all the time.
Okay, it's called Skid Marks. It's a vehicular combat game, and he is going to be working very hard to be doing some demos and kind of promoting it. I don't know if he's going to go with Kickstarter on it, but...
he is going with Kickstarter. He's going to run that soon after TempleCon, and he's going to try and have pre-release available at Gen Con with everything coming out like a month or two afterwards and wide release.
I am all in on Skid Marks. I have to tell you that right now. I'm all in because Squid is one of my oldest friends in the community. and I would buy anything from him if it helps further his dreams. He's a former military. He's a vet. It's another reason why I'm all in on it, because I want to support our vets doing interesting and fun things. And then, of course, Squid is just a good guy, and I want to see him be successful. So keep your eyes open for skid marks. But so tell me more about, so you, I totally digressed and went off the rails on that one, John. I apologize for taking over your story. So tell me about your first round.
Okay, well, first I'll finish off with my faction. Since I can't play mercenaries, there's these things called sectoral armies, which are kind of like theme forces.
I've heard that before.
Limit what you can get, but you get some bonuses.
Right.
And there's one for the Haq Islam faction, which is sort of like a new Islam. There it's called the Kapu Kauki. And one thing to know about Infinity is they don't pull punches on crazy names.
Now, if I remember right, this particular home faction that this comes from is a very high-tech kind of healing faction. Is that true?
They're high-tech and healing, but they're more mid-tech when it comes to everything else, sort of on the lower end.
Okay.
You know, the average like Pan-Oceania trooper has a combi rifle. My average trooper from the faction itself has a rifle.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, but I played that because it allows me to use a lot of the mercenaries that I wanted to.
Sure.
There's a character named Scarface.
I've seen his model.
Yeah, he's really the reason I started playing. I'm like, I want to use that. I don't care that.
He's got a pretty high-tech tag, right?
It's kind of medium tech tag, but it's cool. But we'll get into how cool that can be later.
All right, cool.
So, first game I played against Nomads, which are fairly high tech.
Okay.
I don't really have a great feel for all the factions yet, being that was my second game. And the objective was sort of like there's 3 objectives. You get you open them up with a roll, and then you can take what's in them and run.
Okay.
And if you have them at the end of the game, you get points.
Okay.
So we had a very he set up with a pretty commanding position.
Okay.
You know, he got to choose sides. He won the roll, so he was like, I'm going to choose this side. That's got the commanding fields of fire on all of the objectives. So mostly it was a lot of skirmishing around. I had a space pirate drop behind him and kill a bunch of dudes and take a heavy machine gun to the face twice and live, which is legit.
If you pick sides, do you then have to go second?
Well, the other guy gets to choose who goes first or second.
Okay, so there's that balancing, just like there is in the steamroller.
Yeah. So it was, we played the full 3 rounds. No one got too trashed. End of the game, he had gotten one objective, and he completed his secret objective, which is something you roll forward to before the game. Mm-hmm. You roll 2d20, look at a chart, and choose one of those to be your secret objective.
Okay. And
you do this in secret, so this game is a lot of, you really have to trust the people you're playing with, just straight up. Like, okay, you rolled that, all good.
Okay.
Because there's no one watching that. It's a lot on yourself to be like, that's what I rolled.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, but it was fine. I never once felt like it was, oh, did he really roll that? But like his was, he had to make a forward observer roll.
Okay.
So at one point in the game, he did a forward observer roll, and I thought one of his drones had missiles or something, so I'm kind of scared. And then no missiles come, so I'm like, what's going on?
Yep.
And mine was to do a coup de grace on somebody.
Okay.
So my space pirate, after using his cool, it's called a chain rifle. It's a huge flame-style template.
Okay.
It makes a spray template look kind of weedy.
Okay.
It's sort of like 2 of them, maybe.
Wow.
So I killed a bunch of that, and then I low-crawled under the window so I couldn't get heavy machine gunned again, and just stabbed a dude to death.
Nice.
So that got me points for that, and then I had killed more points than him, so I got more points for that. But he had gotten an objective, and his secret objective, and more objectives than me, so he won 6-3. But for second game, I was like, that was cool.
Now, how long did that game take?
Our game was quicker than everyone else's.
Okay.
So maybe an hour.
Okay.
And then second round, I got in the fun bracket.
All right, back in the Cool Kids Club.
Yep. I got to play against Drew, I think his name was. He's a newer player,
Okay.
which I didn't know at first because I'd seen him around the store tons. Never really done anything with him. But so he plays playing Aleph, which is very high tech.
Okay. I think I've heard of them. It's kind of like there's an artificial intelligence, and Aleph is the faction that is run by the governing artificial intelligence.
Yep.
Okay.
So we set up and we get to play on one of the cool tables with the special terrain, not the just simple buildings. We get to use all the cool made for infinity terrain.
Cool.
Which is sweet. And again, I have my space pirates come in and they kill a couple dudes because that's what they do, and they die. Okay, they're cheap and they're space pirates. Who cares?
You are totally a Merc player.
I am.
This is your faction. I can hear it already.
Yeah. So we go back and forth for a bit. He's got a guy with a rocket launcher in a very commanding position, but apparently when he kills somebody, he gets a little headstrong and had to run down from the top of the building and move out. And where he moved to, it limited his field of fire. So with the last turn of the game pretty much looming,
Yep.
we're on turn 2, about to start my turn 2, I went first. I'm like, I'm just going to go crazy here. So Scarface rolls around the corner, shoots the crap out of the guy, comes further on the corner. I remember there was a camo dude hiding in front of a building, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll discover him, pimp my roll. You die! And just shot him to death.
Yep.
Moved around, shot another guy to death. I shot like 5 people to death on that turn.
Nice.
So when his turn comes around, he's got he's in full retreat, as they call it, which means his turn is the last.
Okay.
So he moves some dudes around and tries to kill Scarface with his rocket launcher on the dude. And it comes really close because it's fire, and fire is kind of similar to
War Machine.
If you don't save against it, you just keep taking saves until you make one.
Got it.
So he did a couple, he did 2 structure points, and I saved the third one, which is good. And total up, and I won the game because I had Scarface in the further deployment zone. That was the objective. There's 3 zones.
Yeah.
And you get points based on how far away they are from you.
That's interesting because it almost sounds like Corvus Belli has taken some of the elements of War Machine, some of the elements of 40K, and maybe has attempted to fix the issues in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it sounds like you got Linebreaker going on there.
Yeah, I was like Linebreaker, but the way the game works is if you have last turn and you know it, you can really just run your dudes everywhere.
Sure.
Because that was a scenario I learned on, and I ran my dudes everywhere, and we had a really close game. But so we finished this game. He had gotten his secret objective, and I hadn't gotten mine, because I had to get someone coup de grace, but I didn't get anywhere near coup de grace. I pretty much just shot people to death.
So let me ask you, how I understand the game takes 2 or 3 turns. How is the end of the game determined?
Well, you know when it's going to happen, unless something like being put into full retreat.
So is it a function of the scenario, or is it a function of a die roll, or how is it determined that it's going to go 2 rounds or 3 rounds or 4 rounds?
Well, it's always going to be 3, unless at the start of your turn, if you're in retreat, your turn is the last turn.
Got it. So you get possibly an extra half turn.
Yep, and that will come into play in the next game. Spoiler alert.
Wow, we're doing battle reports on Painting with Menoth John. This is crazy talk.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep them short and sweet.
No, you're doing great. I mean, it could be worse. It could be like Crump doing it.
Yeah. So, in the third game, I get paired up against my buddy, the Jason, who is the one who taught me how to play. He's been a good friend for a long time. And he's playing his combined army, who are the evil aliens.
Okay.
And the objective is, it's called Seize the Beacons, but we always call it Seize the Bacon. And the way that it's the other of the 2 tables the gentleman set up with all the cool terrain. And just based on how it's set up, there is the line of the 3 beacons just along the road, just out in the open. There is almost no cover.
Interesting.
So we decide, last game we're in the fun bracket. Let's just have fun.
Sure.
So we left it that way, didn't turn the table, because with a 4x4 table, and especially with Infinity, you can just turn it and play from the opposite sides.
Sure.
Just rotate it and go. So I make him deploy first, I go first, or no, he chooses to deploy first. I go first, and my safe pirates have unfortunate accidents and land in the open and die.
So.
But I managed to get Scarface's sister, Cordelia, who comes with him, is an engineer. She runs around and grabs one of the bacon and runs back, turns it on. And then my camouflaged hacker moves out, manages to get the other bacon activated and run back in hiding. So I'm like, he can take them back, but Scarface is sitting there covering the entire street.
Nice.
I'm like, I got a good chance. So he does some stuff. Another guy died to a heavy machine gun drone. It happens.
Yep.
And so he starts his turn. He brings down Kodali, who's this crazy, formerly Yu Jing. Now she's mind control reprogrammed by the bad guys. Death machine.
Okay.
And she just starts on one side and just starts systematically killing everyone.
So I'm seeing Gerlach Slaughterborn here.
Sort of like that with guns.
Oh, that's worse.
So she comes out and she shoots my my one Druze shock troop to death. And she comes around, shoots another model to death. She comes in and gets shot a little bit by Cordelia, who's hiding in a building covering out one of the doors.
Uh-huh.
But manages to take down Cordelia and my lieutenant.
Jeez.
And another dude. And I'm just like, oh my god. And then she's just sort of hiding around there. I didn't even kill her. I barely hit her.
Wow.
So I look at that in my turn, and I'm like, well, let me add up here. Well, you've disabled 180 points of my army, which means I'm in full retreat by 5 points.
Ah!
So he hadn't taken any of the bacons back. So I just have a couple of orders. I don't have my lost lieutenant, which is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Normally, if you lose your lieutenant, it's bad.
Yep.
But we were playing with, you got to use a spec ops guy who you get to sort of customize. Mm-hmm. And I made mine chain of command, so when the lieutenant dies, he just takes over. No worries.
Got it.
And so I just used a couple of my orders and had Scarface walk around the corner and shoot Kodali to death because a little bit of vengeance is better than no vengeance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we ended the game, and I had 2 bacons, and he had no bacons, and he killed. You get points for killing more than your opponent, and an extra point if you kill 150 more than your opponent.
Okay.
So he killed 180 of mine, and I killed like 41 of his.
Ah, so you didn't get the extra point.
Nope, and so he got 3 points because he got his secret objective, and I got 4 points from the bacons, and so I won.
Woohoo!
Yep, got my butt whooped and won.
Take that, mentor.
Yep.
So Edifo was wondering how many points was in the tournament.
It was a standard 300-point tournament with the 1 spec ops allowed.
And Neverdar is pointing out that the moral of the story is that more bacon is better than less bacon.
Correct.
And I think that's all words we can live with and we can all come to agree with here. So I'm going to give the fact that more bacon is better a hearty Ron. Hey, Ron!
Ron.
We're quickly closing in on our Flippity Bloop, by the way.
Indeed. Well, I ended up at 4th in the tournament.
Nice.
Out of 8, which I was happy with.
Hey, top half where I'm sitting.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Good time. Really good time. I mean, getting all your models systematically killed by one model is kind of disheartening, but I got to shoot her to death, and I mean, and it was hilarious when I shot her to death because I only have 2 orders to activate Scarface with, and it took 1 full order to get him to a position where he could shoot. So the next order, he walks around the corner and shoots her, and I've got these big, giant machine guns, and I've got 5 dice, and I'm like, there's 5 dice, all 5 hits. He tried to dodge, and he failed. So
hey, you still had your
shot her to death.
You still had your big guy. You had a chip and a chance, tough guy.
Yep, it was fun.
That's awesome.
If I hadn't killed her, he would have gotten an extra point for killing 150 more points than me, and we would have tied instead of me winning.
That's a good lesson for anybody playing war games. Is that especially in games that you've got that you can get swings like that. You got a chip and a chance. You got to keep pressure on.
Absolutely, but yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time.
That sounds fun. Sounds like you had a great time. Cool. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, Crump is the worst. We all get that.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm always rooting for you, Colin, on Muse on Minis, except for when you yell Hump Day, and my car explodes from your voice being 40 times bigger than anyone else's, and Lance not fixing the levels. God bless Lance, love Lance, but got to fix the levels on that. I've got one of the. Before we go on, I've got one other pro tip for everybody out there. If you're painting with a very bright hot light, do not touch your forehead against it, because I just did that, and I'm probably gonna have an interesting burn on my head. Anyway, go ahead, John. You were gonna say.
So one of my buddies who I convinced to listen to Muse on Minis, because we sit around all day just shipping packages, we got nothing to do but listen to music or whatever.
Yep.
He hates that Hump Day stuff, but he loves Muse on Minis. So I can sort of look over and see him twitch every time Colin does that.
I literally turn the volume down in my car when I hear that it's the beginning of the show and it's a Wednesday, so that Colin, I love you more than anything in the whole wide world. You know that, even though you stiffed me on purchasing those Vengers that you promised. But the Hump Day shit's got to end. I get it. It's an advertisement. It's got a camel. Camels are cool. I get that. Stop it. Stop it now, and nobody has to get hurt.
We can't even do it at work because we're afraid my buddy will go psycho and kill somebody.
Yeah. But I love you, man. Don't ever change except for that. So, well, that's great, Dan. Thanks for the update on the bat rep on the Infinity. I know a little bit about Infinity just from watching Beasts of War. Did a lot of stuff on Infinity there for a while, and they had sort of a game where they kind of taught you how to play the game while they played it, and so I thought that was interesting. And I wish they played it around here, but it's very terrain intensive. I don't know that we have enough terrain at the store. We have a lot of terrain at our store thanks to the hard work that our press ganger Travis Marg, Dark Legacy on the forums, and has built. But still, it's probably more than we have.
Yeah, we can only do a couple tables at a time. If it wasn't for that guy Phil bringing so much in. It's such awesome terrain too. One of them has a sign. It's called it's the Happy Dolphin. It's an eatery. It says intelligent, friendly, and delicious.
I love it. Oh my God, Nevendar played a game of War Machine the other day. That is great. I believe that the guy I played will ever fail for the snipe feet go. Well, it's hard to guard against.
Indeed.
I believe, Mr. John Spencer, that you know what time it is.
Indeed. It's time for some Flippity Bloop.
Flippity Bloop! Okay, now before we do Flippity Bloop, I've got to get another shot of Kraken.
Oh, right to that.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Hey, thanks for over there to Kovnick Scotty Potty for shouting out to find out what everybody's working on. Because part of the magic of painting with Moth, John, is that we all get a little bit closer to fully painted or fully assembled, whatever the case may be, or to fully procrastinated. We don't care. It's all about the love. So,
indeed.
As you can see here on my project for the night, my Vanguard, I'm making pretty good progress on getting my metals done here. And, hey, you know what I picked up this last week? Earthbreaker!
Mine's still in the box. I can't wait to... I don't know when I'm going to switch back to Mercenaries, but when I do, it's going to be awesome.
It is a lot of parts. And I have all of them, which I'm pretty psyched up about. They all came in the box. Privateer didn't forget any this time.
My three classes I put together have been pretty good.
Yeah, my my storm wall came with 2 left feet.
Oh,
actually,
I remember
2 left legs, and so it's. But forget, God, I am so sorry for whoever it is that gave me the parts I needed. I apologize for not remembering, but know that I appreciated it then, and I certainly appreciate it still now. But, hey, let's talk some Flippity Blue.
All right. Let's see. Well, Cliff Hughes says he wants a shout out for his Facebook page he's starting.
Hey, Cliff Hughes is starting a Facebook page, and I don't know what the name of it is. But if you had told me, I would give it even a better shout out than that one just there.
He says he can't make it tonight, so the shout out can wait. Oh,
Okay.
well, it didn't wait, and there's your shout out, Cliff.
Well, we're still, the Flippity Bloop is still a very experimental. We're very edgy. We're a lot like Bjork in that we're very edgy. And so we're going to talk about anything that anybody bothered to put in that thread. So for those of you who didn't know who are watching this, Flippity Bloop is on the Painting with Men Auth John Facebook page. So I'll put the thread up a day or two in advance, and if you, it's like a lightning round. I'm stealing the words Flippity Bloop from Nigel from Focus and Fury because he's super sweet, and I'm going up to Minneapolis for work in a little bit, and he can probably beat me up for stealing it then, but he probably won't because he's super sweet. Anyway, so Flippity Blue.
All right, second, we've got Scott Hedl the second.
Yes.
Just play like you got a pair of what? Dice? Turkey drumsticks?
I'm going to say play like you got a pair of storm walls. I'm not sure why. I don't have a pair of them, but it seems like a good thing to play like a pair of. They want that would launch. Oh, you know what you play like a pair of? You play like a pair of prime axioms in Iron Mother Directrix's goddamn theme force. And let me tell you why you play like a pair of those, because I played against Travis Mark and with Iron Mother Directrix, and he said, I'd like to play against Harbinger. And I saw him put down 2 prime axioms, and the hardest hitting thing I had in the list, well, I had a Reckoner, which hits pretty hard. But after that, I had the Blessing of Vengeance, and then it drops down to POW 9 Weapon Master. So let me tell you how hard it is to punch through Armor 20 with that on the table. Even then, I still almost pulled it out. But
All right, well, I'd say play like you got a pair of models. I don't care what models, and that's all you got.
Nice.
Make every shot count.
Absolutely. So like maybe you're playing a 35-point game of with Earthbreakers. Earthbreakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know if you can get that at 35 points. You're close.
Nevinar says play like you got a pair of nail.
Oh, God. Yeah, that'd be great if you had 2 nails.
Yeah, I'd like a pair of that. I'm big on using what you got the best.
There you go. You know, that's very uplifting. I like it. I'm going to put some more medals on my Vanguard. He's going to have a special little part of his little axe here. Anyway, so Flippity Bloop.
Next, we've got Brett Painter.
Oh!
He wants to know how to prevent the aggro snuggle from Scott.
So, for those of you who don't know what the aggro snuggle is, Scott Ray from Chain Attack, and if you're not listening to Chain Attack, you're doing it wrong. Because it is a fantastic podcast, and Scott Ray is one of the hosts. He has been known, on occasion, to drink. I know this is a shock, and he made a comment earlier this week because Brett Painter he's one of my nuts, and he is going to be sharing a room with myself and also Scott Ray at TempleCon coming up in February. So the reason for this Flippity Bloop question is he's looking for some defense because Scott Ray had made the comment that Painter was the only one he had not aggro snuggled at a con before. I can neither confirm nor deny that that's happened to me before, and I just want to let you know that Miss Brett, there is no escape from the aggro snuggle. It's going to happen. The best you can do is to hope. I recommend a strong alcohol. I don't know if you remember if you saw Game of Thrones, and this isn't necessarily a spoiler or anything like that, but for the first time that the Khaleesi was with the call of the God, what the heck was the name? What's the name of that faction? The Horse Lords.
Long guy you're asking.
Yeah, well, they gave her a nice little drinky poo. So my suggestion is not to avoid it, but to embrace the aggro snuggle. But try as best you can to not remember. So that's my answer. What would you do to avoid the aggro snuggle from one Scott Ray?
Mexican food. That way, if he does the aggro snuggle, you get vengeance immediately.
That is the best advice so far. There's no question about that. So we suggest burritos or something greasy.
Yeah, something sort of fried and greasy. That just makes the stomach ripe for vengeance.
Are we talking about a chimichanga, maybe?
Sure.
Nice. That's a Napoleon Dynamite reference, of course. So I'm going to just simply say Flippity Bloop.
All right. Well, next we've got Alan Green, who asks poutine or horseshoe sandwich.
Okay, I'm familiar with what poutine is.
I am also.
Okay, so poutine, for those of the unwashed, and I don't know, Nevendar might be the only one that doesn't know what a poutine is. But poutine is French fries with gravy and cheese on it, right? I got that right, right, John? And it's pretty delightful. I don't some of the poutines I've had have had a white cheese on it, almost like a real soft fresh mozzarella. And it was a little bit too flavorless. I like something with a little bit more cheese. I don't have any damn idea what a horseshoe sandwich is.
Me either. But Novrak 138 says it's actually more cheese curds for the poutine. I guess the poutine is what they put on that. And down here in the uneducated South, they don't tell us for reals.
Okay, here's the deal with... God, I have a tough time going against cheese curds just because of where I live and my history growing up with cheese curds, because it's Wisconsin and cheese curds are a delicacy where I'm from. Boy, am I doing a crappy job on these metals. I gotta let that dry a little bit longer. But I'm a horseshoe sandwich, so I'm going to try and speculate on what a horseshoe sandwich is, and then you can certainly add your opinion, John, if you'd like. And what
I already Googled it.
Well, please share with me. What is a horseshoe sandwich?
Well, apparently it's an open-faced sandwich that begins with thick sliced bread, mostly Texas toast, and adds hamburger patties or ham, and maybe some other meats like pork tenderloin, grilled or fried chicken breast, and fried fish fillets.
Oh.
And then it's topped with French fries and smothered with a secret cheese sauce.
Yeah, F that. You had me until fish entered in the equation.
That's an option.
Yeah, if it's... Okay, I'm pretty good with the big slab of meat sandwich. I'm pretty okay with that. But I'm a little worried about the whole putting the fish on the bun thing. So I'm going to say horseshoe sandwich if it doesn't have the fish. Poutine if it's got the fish. Now, I don't have a problem with fish. I don't want anybody leaving here going, Menoth John is anti-fish. We can't have that. Because I'm an equal opportunity eater. There's no question about that. However, as I look and I see, there's a lot of protein going on without putting the fish into the equation. So I'm going to say, officially to the Flippity Bloop, I'm going to go with the horseshoe sandwich with sans fish. I'm going to go with the poutine if the fish is in play. What do you think, John?
I agree, except I'll take the horseshoe sandwich even if it's got fish. I don't mind fish so much.
Oh. See, I see what you did there. Now, what kind of fish would you choose if you had to choose a fish to be on that horseshoe sandwich?
Oh, my Lord. I pretty much prefer a breaded fish fillet. Regular, just grilled fish might be a little weird, but if I had to, something, I don't know, maybe some tilapia or something like that.
Tilapia is a nice fish to put on there, I think. It's got a nice
even
mild
dry,
flavor.
The cheese will bring it back.
Yeah, yep. You're starting to convert me, John. I'm starting to think about that horseshoe sandwich with the fish now. So that was a good one. Good one. That spurred some debate. How about the rest of you out there? What are we thinking about as far as this whole horseshoe sandwich? Oh my God, good day blow time. Holy crap. Ladies and gentlemen, the man that helped start the legend, G'day Bloke, is in the house. The man, the myth, the mountain. G'day Bloke. Have you ever met G'day Bloke, by the way, John?
No, I've only met a couple people. I don't get out too much.
G'day Bloke is 16 feet tall.
16? Holy crap.
He's 16 feet tall. He's Australian, but he lives in Canada. And so that makes him a Castralian? Not really sure, but he is he's 16 feet tall, and he literally is the reason for the Northern Lights.
Wow, it's quite impressive.
He brings a lot to the party, let me tell you what. And he's going to be at the TempleCon. And this is actually a really excellent time for me to mention, since he's in the house. I've been meaning to mention this, but G'day Bloke, as usual at TempleCon, is running the charity auction again this year. And the deal is that a lot of really excellent painters are going to be donating models that are fully painted, that people are going to be able to bid on. And I believe it's a silent auction. So I asked if I should donate something, and he was the most diplomatic person I've ever seen, who basically said, "Well, you could donate something unpainted too, John." So we all know where G'day Bloke thinks about my painting, and all kidding aside, I have no business donating something I've painted to that auction, given the quality of the people that he's bringing to this. The charity in question is I believe it's a cancer charity. Zyman from TempleCon lost her mother to cancer. There's other individuals like Lonely Monk who have lost loved ones to the Big C. I lost my mother to the Big C. It's a terrible goddamn disease when your body turns on you and starts killing you, which is absolute crap. And G'day Bloke has been doing this for years. I think I've been associated with it for, well, I started going to TempleCon in 2010, and I believe that there was one then also. But so what the reason I'm kind of putting it out there is, if you would like to donate something to the cause, which would be awesome, painted or unpainted. If you're an excellent painter, I recommend the painted version. If you're not such a talented painter like me, then I would suggest the unpainted version. Then contact Chris Miller at G'day Bloke at LostHemisphere.com. So that's G'day Bloke, GDAYBLOKE at LostHemisphere.com. And let Chris know that you want to donate something. But if you're going to say you're going to donate it, make sure you get it into him, because it's a great cause, and I think the more money we can bring in to fight frickin' cancer, better off we all are, and less of our loved ones, we're going to have to say goodbye to them until we see them, later on up in heaven. So let's see. G'day Bloke is adding that there's a table of prizes, painted models, new in-box stuff, an entire themed army. As your ticket is drawn, you'll approach the table and choose your prize. I'm hearing that Felicia Day might be there. We might have the Rockettes might be in attendance. Anything could happen. Some of that might not be true. Some of it might be true. And let's see here, raising money for the Jimmy Fund, which is Jimmy Valvano, and the Dana Farber Institute. And let's see, and if you don't send your stuff, G'day Bloke will nag the crap out of you. So while having lots of contact with Chris, good, getting nagged by Chris, less good. So that was a long Flippity Bloop, by the way.
Indeed.
But I owed it to him, and I also owed it to Lonely Monk, because I promised Lonely Monk I was going to mention it on the show. So Flippity Bloop.
Well, Colin asked, do you think you will take part in Off the Scrap Heap 2014?
I would. Hey, anything for you, Chris. You know that. So I need some help, because Colin is in the audience with us here tonight. I am less familiar with what Off the Scrap... I know what Off the Scrap Heap means. Okay, fine. What is the Off the Scrap Heap challenge? That's what I want to know. Do I have to pick some shitty model to stick in my army? Because, God, I've been doing that for years by mistake.
That so far seems to be the idea. It's on the Muse boards. They've been talking about what they're going to do. It was either Crappy Caster 2014 or Off the Scrap Heap 2014.
And Off the Scrap Heap is would be like, what, a model unit? or what is versus a caster, or what are we thinking?
Caster or model unit, that's what they're talking about right now. It's still sort of in the formative stages still.
Okay, so we got Punstar. Off the scrap heap sounds like bringing pieces that don't get used often, and I have to believe with that, because I know they've been talking a little bit about it, but I hadn't heard anything formal yet. You know what, Colin? I'm willing to certainly give it a try. I'm probably switching to Mercenaries. I want to say Mercenaries or Retribution after TempleCon, because I want to stick with my Protectorate through TempleCon. So if it's possible, I would like to. I'll throw myself in there and we'll pick something. I'm going to pick the new Houseguard Thane as an off the scrap heap for the Retribution of Syra, and I'll be including that in as many lists as I possibly can. So I think that's really stretching it. Is there possibly any guidance, Colin, that you could give us? Let me see if you're still even in here. Well, let's see here. Let's see if he's still in here. The viewer list is coming up, and is he even still with us? He left. Oh, no, he's there. He's there. So, Colin, if you have... Yeah, that thing really needs some love. I agree. It does need a lot of love. I'm one of those Retribution players that looks at the Thane as being something I personally complain to Hacksaw about vehemently. And I'm glad that he listened to me. Because I know that's why we got it, is because I bitched a lot.
Excellent. Well, I'm playing Ret for at least the current future here, and I'm using everything. I'm just going through everything in Ret, so I'll be off the scrap heap all the time right now.
Yeah, you know what? Off the scrap heap for Retribution means playing the faction. So
I'm playing Virus 1 right now, if you don't like him.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, I know, he's awesome.
I love him. I won a few tournaments with Retribution, and the ones that I've won have been with Virus 1 and, believe it or not, Gareth.
I was thinking about dropping Raven from my current tournament pairing, so you need to have 3 for next weekend's tournament. And I was going to go Kalissa, Virus, and maybe Gareth instead of Raven.
So let me tell you my secrets behind Gareth. Gareth has to be played, in my opinion, as a threat vector list. And so you load up that list with as many different threat vectors as humanly possible, so that they ignore Gareth and he can get to the party and win. What doesn't work with Gareth? Don't try to kill Butcher with Gareth.
I've killed Butcher 3 with Gareth.
So what you need to do is try to kill Butcher with Gareth.
The guy I had in the last round of the last tournament is Butcher 3, and he just comes forward and just starts killing stuff, and I'm like, I charge you and kill you. Seems good.
Yeah, Arcane Assassin is kind of a thing.
Yeah. And if you can get a spell on him, like if you can get his upkeep spell on him, Death Sentence, the turn before. Whew.
Yep, I hear you. I've had great success with Gareth, believe it or not. I'm actually excited to play. We've been throwing Crump underneath the bus pretty consistently here on this podcast, and I just realized that I'm holding the jack where nobody can see what I'm painting. And Crump came up with a list that had a Hyperion and some other stuff in it. I've got it on my war room called Crumpology, and I might actually be interested in playing that a little bit. But now with the Houseguard Thane coming, I'm giddy like a little schoolgirl.
Looks like a Dave Bloke has pretty much built the list for me, aside from the Heavy Rifle Team, which I don't own, and no one plans to buy it anytime soon. But,
nobody throws shit off the, pardon, this is an explicit podcast, off the scrap heap like a Dave Bloke. Back in the day when I was writing for Lost Hemisphere, we specialized in, hey, this stuff sucks, let's play with it.
Yeah, that's usually a challenge for me. That's why I started writing. Everyone's like, oh, Ret sucks. I'm like, challenge accepted?
Yeah, g'day. How many times did we do articles or series of articles or talks on the podcast about models that just had no love whatsoever? just picking a model or unit and champion it for the year. Right now, it's anything. It's not anything formal. At least 3 times a week. That is absolutely correct, Chris. So for those of you who don't know what I'm doing with this damn model and why is there purple on it, I have a whole bunch of models that I purchased off of G'day Almost all of my, well, not almost, well, yeah, almost all of my Rulik stuff came from G'day. And I purchased that from him, and it's got a gray with a... It's not this purple. It's a more magenta version of this purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base coat purple, and then I'm going to come back with a wash of magenta. And then that wash is what's going to get it to the correct color. I can't even tell you, John, how many times I effed up the colors on my models, strictly based on trying to figure out how the hell to paint it the way that G'day did.
That's why I don't like getting painted models.
Mm.
I've passed up good deals someone was offered to trade me for. I'm like, it stuff's painted. I don't want to have to try and match it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, I guess next, the final...
wait for it. Flippity Blue. There you go.
All right. Neek wants to know, does it feel daunting to know that you need to paint 13 more of those Vanguards?
Well, that is the name of this particular episode. It's actually, if Neek had not suggested that, I would... I don't know what I would have called this particular episode, but I am not going to paint the 14 Vanguard list that Nathan Hoffmann runs. For those of you who don't know, Nathan Hoffmann has become semi-famous, even more so than normal from the Crippled System podcast, for running a 2-caster 75-point list that includes 14, yes, count them, 14 of these Vanguards. He uses Shea as one of his casters, and he uses Broadside's Bart. And Shea has the Commodore cannon and a Nomad, and then Bart runs 14 Vanguards. And with Coupe de Main and all the shenanigans, he gets to assault for free and all this stuff, and it is awesome until he sees the Texas Raiders. And then it's not quite as awesome anymore because his casters just fall over dead. But it came in second, I think, at War Machine Weekend. So, good day. It is so nice to have you here. This is like a bit of the old school happening here. Ooh, add Desters to the thing. Oh, I love Desters.
Yeah, I'm in on Desters.
I love Desters.
Hopefully I get them for Christmas. If I don't get them for Christmas, then I'll have to save up a little bit and buy them, but I'm in.
Yeah, I love them. I love Desters. So, I guess, well, let's talk about this for a little bit because it is an intriguing topic. First off, do we have any more Flippity Bloop?
No, that was it.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for putting in the Flippity Bloop. We made it. You need to base with an airbrush. Yes, I know. I did base the gray with an airbrush. I'm not quite talented enough yet to do the purple with the airbrush yet. But we're getting there, buddy. One day at a time, Edifo. One day at a time. So let's talk a little bit about the Scrapheap. I want to, once again, like I said, thank you everybody who put in Flippity Bloop. Please look for it on your favorite internet site, Painting with Men John. It's on the Facebook. And, Flippity Bloop your butt off next week, and we'll have lots and lots to talk about. We did fill a half-hour segment, which I'm pretty cool about. Let's talk about scrap heaps after I pour the next shot of Kraken rum. John, so if you were going to do this scrap heap, which, you're going to be playing the Retribution, which model are you going to pull off the scrap heap for Retribution? Because you've got a plethora of them.
Well, Testers, if I end up with, I got Thalia and Scarth recently. I love the Hydra, Gorgon. I've been playing Gareth. These are my first 2 casters I started, so off the scrap heap's more like Tuesday for me.
Love it. God. Okay, so if I was going to be playing Protectorate, So let's talk. Let's take this in two phases. First off, by the way, Dally and Scareth. I'm glad that people have find that it took Will Pagani, which pretty good source of information last time I checked, to pull Dolly and Scareth off the not even ever got to the table status.
Actually, Flanzer.
Oh, was that Flanzer?
Yeah, Flanzer had that.
Okay. But
Pagani pulled out the assault commandos,
which is true. Good on Will.
Yeah.
So the but where was I going with this? We were talking about Retribution. You've got some good
Protectorate and see what you wanted to off the Scrapheap with them.
If I'm going to play Protector, who am I going to take off the Scrapheap?
Adrian.
So I'm torn actually between Adrian's and Amana Raza. So let me tell you why. And Gadebulk is going to poop himself. I understand that. And so Adrians are, I think, one of the most underrated and least played units in Protector. Why? Okay. They're not as fancy as Errants in that they're not fearless, they don't have spell ward and all that kind of good stuff, and they're expensive. I mean, they've got a 3-point. Yes, Menoth does have a scrap heap. Go after yourself, Edifo. And I mean that in only the most loving way.
As I say, right, respectfully.
Mm-hmm. Very respectfully, actually. They do have a scrap heap. And, but they don't get a lot of love because they're expensive as compared to other options in the faction. That being said, POW 13 guns are kind of a thing. And
yeah, that's pretty legit.
And the fact that they can dig in and you put Defender's Ward on them, and all of a sudden they become goddamn near impossible to get off the table. So that's one option. I'm also looking. I've been the thing that leads me towards the Aman and Raza is you look at the things that make Judicator kind of come alive and become a thing, and usually it is a speed buff or a damage buff. And one of the things that Aman and Raza does in spades is both. If we team the Judicator with, let's say, a couple of Vigilants, which I happen to own 2 of, and we put those out in front, they serve a couple of purposes. First, you have very cheap Armor 21 jacks that prevent tramples or charges up to the Judicator, and they do a nice job of buffing up, of bringing up the synergy chain. If you then add a couple of Repenters into that list, you have a couple of jacks that do awesome work against shield-bearing jacks and are speed 7 when they clear infantry like a boss. So now you have a couple of 4-point jacks that you now you're hitting. By the time it gets to the Judicator, you're up to a +4 damage, which means that he's hitting +20, power strength 24, and that is right in the sweet spot where our good friend Efiora brings him. So I think that there's some love there.
Yeah.
Now imagine putting Idrians with Aman and Raza because it's fluffy, and we all love the fluff.
Yeah, and they're pretty good. Just use prey on their big unit. You can just pick off dudes.
Yup. So
it's pretty legit.
I think there's some love in them there hills. I'm gonna before Menoth John turns in tonight, and it's gonna be an early night because Signar Jake is at home, and that means that school happens early, and with the snow the way that it is, it's gonna be a snowblower morning. Yeah, I know, grunts. And
it's snowing here in Maryland, and everyone drives like morons.
Thankfully, I am a grand total of half a mile from my kid's school, and I work from home. So,
very jealous right now.
You should be. It's a good gig if you can get it. And so, I will. I'll try some lists. Right now, my go-tos are Harbinger and Efiora. Gasp. Everybody don't gasp all at once. We don't allow the air. Hey, yes, GTW and Punisher came in. He was a member of the Painting with MkII John informal show on, what was it, Wednesday? When I was doing some work on on Harlan and Ragman. I didn't finish them then, but we had Explosive Bro, which is Explosive O's brother, who was Richard Johnson, who was there with us as well. And he was a first-time experiencer of the MkII John magic, and he's with us here tonight. So welcome. He doesn't play War Machine, but he's here for the banter and the love. So welcome. So I'm thinking about pulling Aman Adraza off the scrap heap, and I'm sure that our good friends in Madison and our good friends in Milwaukee will be more than happy to beat the piss out of me.
Yeah, if I knew Nathan Hoffmann, I think I'd bring Gudrun the Wanderer off the scrap heap.
He should.
I like Gudrun.
I like Gudrun.
With Fiona a couple times. He's just good enough defense and armor that on her feet, he's really tough to take down the first time.
Yep, I hear you. I hear you on that one. I'm getting bored by this Vanguard, I have to tell you. So I'm going to push him.
He's not as flashy as other models.
I'm going to push him away, and I'm going to start painting on this clown. There we go. It's always good to bring in a rogue boom howler when all else fails. You know what?
Mercenary. What would you bring up with Scrapheap if you go to Mercenary?
Oh, if I go to Mercenaries, let's talk about that. That's good banter. G'daybolt's painting a Flamebringer. I have to liquid green stuff my Flamebringers to get rid of the silly, the mold lines and stuff like that. But let's get back on topic. If I was going to bring a Mercenary off the scrap heap, what would I bring? Now, the obvious choice is trying to make Dan and Blythe and Bull work. I mean, that's an obvious choice.
Well,
there's a
the game themeless, they're okay. I mean, 3 points, they're actually, I feel, worth it. But at 4, ooh.
Yeah, if you're looking at something else beyond that, I mean, got some obvious choices around the freebooter. Try to bring that off the heap. Fiona's a popular one, to bring off the heap. She's got some very, very unique abilities, like a lot of the casters in the Pirates of the Broken Coast book had. That's a possibility. I kind of feel like, though, that if I was going to pick a model unit to bring off the scrap heap, that I might have to try and bring the high shields off.
You stole my answer.
Sorry, buddy. I think I have to. Oh, God. Punstar just brought up blood. I'll let you have the high shields. I'll take Bloody Brannigan.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't know his rules terribly well, so I'm not going to speak intelligently too much about it. That, however, has never stopped me in the past. And Bloody Brannigan is kind of a brawler kind of guy. Need to understand him a little bit better, but he might. I don't even own him. Does he play for Protectorate?
I have no earthly idea, because I only use Mercs and Mercs. I don't put him in other armies.
Would you look at the number of viewers we have tonight?
Yeah, 22.
Holy Christ! What happened? I'm sorry, I used that in a complete sentence for those of you who don't like cursing. But it's amazing. So tell us a little bit about. Okay, he's drunk and he has Weapon Master fists. Can't be bad. He works for Protectorate and I don't own him. Okay, so here's the deal, Punstar. You have intrigued me. So I'm going to get me a Bloody Brannigan this week. I'm going to have to order him, obviously. And the best place to order him is, if you're not buying from your friendly local game store, is Discount Games Incorporated. I highly recommend, if you cannot get a model at your friendly local game store, consider getting it at Discount Games Incorporated, because Jay Larson of the Chain Attack crew is wonderful people, and he's good to his customers. He ships quickly. If you get above that magic $50 range, he's going to ship it to you for free. They've got those holiday bundles going on right now. and I'm a big fan of the J. So
For some reason, their shipping's always super quick.
well, that's because the Empire runs very efficiently.
I mean, I've been living in Maryland, and he's in,
Idaho Falls.
Idaho Falls, and it gets there, 2 days, maybe 3 days most of the time.
Yep.
It's crazy fast.
So let me tell you a little bit about Jay Larson and Discount Games. This guy is freaking legit. He is a businessman of the highest caliber. He cares about his customers. He does a great job of fielding questions. The Empire is always on. He is constantly checking his emails. He follows up personally on a lot of things. And I know these things not just because he's been my friend for years, but also I have seen him how he handles like personal friend stuff. And he handles it like it's personal friend stuff. So I highly recommend Discount Games Incorporated. The man gets it. So if you can't, I always recommend, always, 100% of the time, getting your War Machine toys from your friendly local game store. And if you're in the Hamilton, Ontario area, or Burlington area, I highly recommend the Hobby Kingdom. But if you're not, and your local game store doesn't have it, I highly recommend Discount Games Incorporated. And he doesn't even sponsor this damn show. I'm going to get in his ass because he owes me money for all the time as I talk about him.
So back to Bloody Brad again.
Yeah.
Apparently they've broken him in the chat room.
Uh-oh. Let's see.
Okay, Wrong Eye, Snapjaw, and a Swamp War, and cast elasticity on him, and he's got Reach and Berserk.
Do you know how to get all that stuff to happen? Order the Minions pack from Discount Games Incorporated. That's a callback, and that's good podcasting right there, folks. A Swamp War in Protectorate. Who knew?
Does Wrong Eye work for Protectorate?
No, he doesn't. But he could if he was human.
Yeah,
in Mercs, he could. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Well, in Mercs, I think I tried to play him with McBain, because on McBain's feet turn, he's auto tough and doesn't not fall down. It's stumbling drunk, and he can hold his own pretty well for a turn.
You know what would be fun, John, is to put a list together of all drunk models.
If you could get Trolls and Mercs together, it would be super awesome. Otherwise, it's just a family reunion.
Good point. I was just thinking you put Bloody Brannigan in there. You could put a little Gudrun action in there.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Maddie Corbeau counts because she's a courtesan. Most times they're drunk. So there you go.
McBain likes to drink. He can be your caster.
He's a fine drinker, that one. I think these boomhoes come alive with this Sanguine Sash. I really do.
He's definitely coming along there.
Do you know why the Sanguine Sash is because, not because these guys work for Protectorate, because they don't. It's because I fell in love with painting all my Protectorate with the Sanguine Sash, because it highlights so easily. It's easily the Sanguine highlight does such a good job of highlighting because it's a reasonably transparent color. So it's like, let everything be Sanguine.
That's what you do, and you get a good technique or color combination that works, and keep going.
Hell yeah, baby. Hell yeah. What else we got to talk about tonight, John?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit on high shields here.
Yeah, let's talk about those high shields.
I was actually using them for a while, but this will sound crazy, but the list I was using them with was a little rough on the newbies in my store, so...
All right, bring the heat.
Bring the heat. I'm playing the Agents of Jord list.
Oh, enlighten.
Well, you get Shay, who's crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a Commodore cannon, but that's okay, because I don't own it.
Well, there you go.
You can get high shields, and high shields, they're good backup for pirates.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun. You get Thor.
Oh.
And whenever he's marshalling, and Thor marshalling with a free charge from Coupe de Main is pretty legit.
Yes, it is.
And you've already got Rock Bottom there in case Thor needs to pronto his jack to get it across the universe.
There's nothing funnier than a basher with Thor.
That's I've had some made some newbies unhappy. I've had guy was playing Kara Sloan.
Whoops.
Came up, did a lot of good, Cyclone puts covering fire down. He's running it pretty well. And he parks Kara Sloan with Refuge right behind Triumph.
Whoops.
So I'm like, Basher goes forward, slams Triumph right over her, follows up into her. I'm like, all right, damage on her the first time? Oh, look, 664.
Yeah.
She doesn't like that at all.
Nope.
I'll pop the flak field. 556. That's a good game.
You straight up dropped the dice prayer on her.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
That and then like the threat range of pirates. I mean, honestly, if you have pirates with Shay, it really doesn't matter what else you have.
No, that's very true.
And the high shields actually back them up really well because they're slow, so they're an automatic second wave.
Yep.
And there's some shooting support.
Yep. And they're not bad. They got the CMA. I mean, excuse me, they got the double gun. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. They got the double gun, which is awesome. And I highly recommend that. That's great.
My recommendation is don't put them in shield wall unless you have to. That's a trap.
Yeah, get them guys up the field.
Yeah, you use the officer's running gun or whatever it's called, and you have to move, shoot, and move again.
Yeah, what the hell is that called?
I do not remember off the top of my head. It's been a little while since I played with them. But I think, aside from a couple of new players, I think most people are ready for that kind of shenanigans.
No, I tell you what. First off, I want to recommend the Cadet Bloke always be here at 8:00 Eastern. He is straight up blowing up in the chat room. So you are always welcome here, son. So the Merc player is rocking that no quarter tier. I need to look that up because I've always been fascinated with Shay. I don't own Shay because I don't own all the damn pirates. But if there is a way of running him without all the damn pirates, that might be interesting to me.
Yeah, you need some pirates though.
Yeah.
You can't take Forge Guard with him because that would be straight broken. Feet for 3 inches of movement, Coupe de Main, charge across you. Yeah, no, it's no good.
So let me tell you about my favorite post in a Facebook page ever. There was I'm literally not, you know I have no shame, but I'm not going to call this clown out because he was complaining that Mark II flight wasn't worth the points.
Oh,
you know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this. He was concerned he wasn't able to that flight should only cause free strikes on ranged assets. So if you have a gun, you can get a free strike against flight, but no other reason. I want to take that clown back to Mark I and take him out of Legion because he plays Legion. So if I take him back to Mark I with Legion, he's going to fall straight in love, and that's not the effect I'm trying to pull off here. I'm going to give him something like, Protectorate in Mark I. And we'll see how much he loves that flying circus bullshit when the entire faction comes across the table, flies over all his crap for free, and kills his caster straight up dead.
Well, there's a game for him.
Yeah.
A game for him. It's called 40K.
That's what I did. You didn't even see that thread, and that is exactly what I said to him. I said, what you need is Tau.
Or anything. I mean, there's a guy
Eldar.
who's making a flying circuits, like all these flying demons list for 40K.
Yeah. Take Eldar. You don't even have to advance your models. Just hang out.
Necrons. Necrons are the big ones. All the flyers. Just fly across the board, shooting everything in the way.
Yep. Well, I watched because I don't know what's wrong with me, John. I have to be very honest with you. I enjoy watching 40K bat reps, but I have no interest whatsoever in actually playing the game. And I think it's because a lot of the guys that play the game do really good bat reps. And frankly, some of us here in the War Machine community could do a better job of bat reps. And I'm not just talking to Crump here. These guys put a lot of production value into their videos on YouTube. I'm talking to the mini wargaming guys. I'm talking to the not so much Bell of Lost Souls. They try. God bless them. They're doing the best they can. But the mini wargaming folks do amazing bat reps for 40K, but I have no interest to play the game whatsoever either. And I'm watching these Eldar and Tau forces, and they put their models down, and that's where they stay pretty much for the whole game.
Yeah, there was a tournament going on. My local store was chocked to the brim with players on Saturday. So we had, in the front, we had a campaign in a day for 40K. We had a local club doing some tournament for 40K in the back. Now next to them we had the Infinity tournament. And then further in the back we had some open gaming, some Magic, and a Dust Tactics tournament.
That's amazing.
Tournament. Yeah. I came in like, we got all this going on. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my god!
Exactly.
So,
but, luckily I got a big store that can fit all that crap.
Your store must have so much room. It's just amazing.
Well, it literally used to be the Games Workshop Battle Bunker and like half the offices.
Okay.
So it's a big place, and it's great.
That's really cool. Well, I mean, with what you've described in the past and what, from talking to Brett Painter and talking to Squid and talking to you, I mean, with the diversity of games that you guys have going on in that store, you kind of need a store like that.
Yeah, I think at one point we had, Infinity, Dust, 40K, War Machine, and Malifaux all going at the same time, with some Magic players playing some stuff too.
God, what's happened to Dust?
Everyone's waiting for Battlefront to unveil what they're going to do with it.
Has Battlefront not done a whole lot with it since they purchased the license?
No, not much at all.
I thought they would do something right away, didn't you?
Well, I'd hope, but I know the people involved, so I'm not super surprised. I used to work with some of them. A lot of them are ex-GW guys.
Oh. All right, well,
good people, but, it's a lot on their plate.
I wonder why, I'm clearly not an industry insider, but I wonder why Fantasy Flight, do you think Fantasy Flight gave up on it because of X-Wing?
I think they gave up because they can't keep up with X-Wing, much less trying to keep up with Dust Tactics and put it out the right way. It's not their kind of game.
God, I love X-Wing too.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for Wave 1 stuff to show back up so we can start supporting it.
I know, I want some Y-Wing action. Those things are freaking OP.
I don't know what OP, but they're tanks.
Pretty cool. Love them to death. Well, see, in the course of the show, John, we have 2 new people following us on Twitch. That's pretty exciting.
Excellent.
Let's see, we had a 19 for our Warm Hordes event on Saturday at Phil mentioned. That's fantastic. That is great. I have seen the Star Trek game, and I have to tell you, Ed Defoe, what I've heard about it, and I've seen the models. It's lackluster. Don't wait for it, guys. I'm sorry. As much of a big fan of the X-Wing game as I am, is how much not a fan of the of that Star Trek game. They're not painted as well. They're not.
They're not the scale.
They're not the scale. They're not the scale. We're getting close to the end of the show here, so I'm gathering all my friends together here on camera. We're getting. Except they're not all on camera because I suck. There we go. So we can take a look at all the different things we've talked about and looked at here, John. It looks like as much time as they spent getting the Star Trek stuff right, it looks as though they haven't necessarily spent that kind of time getting the Star Trek right. The Star Wars game is... John, I don't know how much. Have you played the game much?
Yes, we've got a fairly mediocre community for it here. We're trying, but with no basic ships, it's hard.
I don't know how terribly well balanced it is today. What's your opinion?
I think it's reasonably well balanced. I mean,
okay.
I haven't seen one side or the other winning everything. The Falcon may be a bit much, But,
yeah. I'm hearing the 2 Falcon lists are pretty OP, but
yeah, I haven't seen that. We don't really have power gamers for this game. It's our beer and pretzels game, if you will.
yeah. Oh, I love the fact that it plays in a heartbeat, and it is. I know it's a game that I can play with my older boy, and if I wanted to introduce a miniatures game to my girlfriend Belinda, I think that she would. I think that would be one she could probably get behind because she likes the Star Wars. She's more of a Doctor Who than she is necessarily a Star Wars, and she's certainly a Game of Thrones. But maybe we could get like Game of Thrones characters flying around on bases, causing intrigue amongst the houses.
Oh, I don't know. That might not end well. You know the Lord of the Rings game, right?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, it's a little unbalanced from what I understand. You know what?
It's not a bad game, but it's so hard to make a game like that work well.
I've heard that one list rules them all.
That was the way with War of the Ring, which was their mass battle game.
Yep.
One of the local guys just sat down and basically broke it.
Shit, that's too bad. Well, here's the deal, folks. It's we got 5 minutes left in the show. I think this is the fastest 90 minutes in podcasting. What do you think, John?
Absolutely.
Did I even release the Kraken in the last half hour?
I don't remember if you did. You may have.
Okay.
I think you did.
Well, if I did, I'm going to go for a bonus release the Kraken because we do have G'day Bloke in the house. We've got all the legends. We got Nevendar. We've got Edifoe. We've got all the legends. Plus, we've got a lot of new visitors. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being part of the Menoth John Painting with Menoth John experience. So here's to you. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
And just like that. So, John, anything else you want to bring up as a part of the show tonight?
No, I think we've covered enough games.
Yeah, God, we've talked about we talked about Infinity, we talked about Lord of the Rings, we talked about 40K, we talked about War Machine, and Hordes, of course. Anything else? I mean, we met we talked a little bit of everything for everybody. So that's great. We're very inclusive. We're very inclusive here on Painting with Menoth John.
Indeed.
So I think during the course of the week, I'm going to continue to work on this Vanguard right here. The purple doesn't cover worth a crap, but remember, it's got a little bit of it's got the murderous magenta to go over the top of it. That is going to be the wash that I use to turn this purple into the correct color for my Rulix, and that will kind of help smooth everything out. There may be a special during the course of the week for assembling the Earthbreaker. So if you subscribe to Painting with Menoth John on Twitch, that is bonus material. It does not cost an extra cent. I'm not doing this for profit. I'm doing this for fun and for the love. So if you subscribe to the channel and you set up your preferences properly, you will get push notifications on your cell phone or what have you that I am broadcasting. And I found a tripod upstairs here at Casa John that I can set up, and you can watch me work on assembling and cleaning an Earthbreaker using my Dremel tools. So if you haven't seen me do assembly with Menoth John and you're interested in the Dremel technique that I use, tune in this week sometime, depending upon what my schedule is like. There won't be any warning for it, so always keep your cell phone on and always be wondering what Menoth John is doing next. So, anything else for us, John?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, on that note, I'm going to bring up the fabulous Bob Ross music. And I would like to thank all of the legends and all the first-timers here on Painting with Menoth John. Make sure you check out and subscribe here to the Painting with Menoth John Twitch site. Make sure that you check out the YouTube. If you YouTube search for PwMJ, that That will bring up all the videos, and you can subscribe to my channel there. Also, make sure to check out the socials on the Painting with Men Off John Facebook site, as well as I would encourage you to check out the Men Off John Twitter at Men Off John. Not that I actually Twitter much, but you know, it's one step closer to being with Men Off John at every moment. So, and we all know that's what you're all driving for. So, on behalf of John Spencer and the entire Painting with Men Off John crew, I want to wish you a wonderful night. Thanks for being up here, and check us out next week at 7 o'clock when we will release the Kraken with all of our close friends here on Painting with Men Off John. Good night, everybody.